Obviously, you don't want to start off the season 0-1.
Tries to take off and run, but he's hit hard.
I got to play better for us to win.
We had opportunities to score points. We just didn't quite make the plays we wanted to make.
Arch Manning cannot get into the end zone. Shoots that up the right side of the field.
It's intercepted.
Can't have those turnovers. Got to get back to square one and go prepare for San Jose State.
After a weekend like that in college football, you knew we would be laboring with you this morning, but it's light work. We only have an hour. So grateful to have my guy, Paul Finebaum, in the house. It's been so long. We're going to have a lot of fun. Buckle up for another season. And of course, the one and only Stephen A. Smith and our MVP, Cam Newton. Good morning, guys. I'm going to roll right through it because we only have that hour, and I want to dive into as much as we can. So we start with that much anticipated matchup between Texas and Ohio State. Texas quarterback Arch Manning failed to live up to his lofty expectations in his starting debut Saturday at Ohio State, but Longhorns coach Steve Sarkisian called the 14-7 loss just one chapter in Manning's season. With scouts from more than a dozen NFL teams watching Arch, he completed 17 of 30 passes for 170 yards, 1 TD, 1 INT. Paul, you had very high praise for Arch earlier this summer. Let's flash back.
I think there's a reasonably good chance that Arch Manning will be sitting on the front row in New York at the Heisman ceremony. That's assuming that his team does what it's supposed to do and compete for not only the SEC, but for the national championship. And I really believe they will. I believe also that Arch Manning is the best college football quarterback we have seen since Tim Tebow entered the scene in 2006.
Paul, I'd like you to blame production staff for that. I want to distance myself from pulling that sound for you. No, I'm just messing.
Blame me.
Paul,
because I was going to ask for it too.
Paul, tell me this. Do you feel like Arch is the biggest reason they lost?
I'm not getting away from what I said because I think it's the stupidest thing I've said maybe since I doubted Cam Newton before his final season at Auburn. But it is... I base it on a lot of hype. I base it on a lot of comments from people, and clearly it was wrong. But Arch Manning wasn't the reason Texas lost. As pedestrian and as awful as he was, I blame it on Steve Sarkisian. He is supposed to be one of the preeminent play callers in America, and he was not. He was completely out-schemed and outmaneuvered on the other side. And that's not a one-off. It happened against the very same team in January at the Cotton Bowl. Remember that final possession? Texas is down by 7. They're on the 3-yard line, first down, and they end up giving up a scoop and score going the other way because Sarkisian just completely came undone. So I'm worried about that part of it. Arch did not handle the moment either, Molly, and that concerns me because I thought he was going to walk out there with swagger. He was built for this moment. He was not. I think he can still be a great quarterback, but he's not one yet.
Stephen A.
Amen. He's not one yet, and that's really the thing that needs to be said here. I'm not stressing over one game. It's just one game. I still expect him to have an illustrious collegiate career. I still expect him to be a big-time pick in the NFL draft. I get all of that, but he did not look good Saturday afternoon. No question about that. Now you're going up against the reigning defending and national champions in their house, so obviously that's tough. But Texas came into the game having won 11 straight road games, so this should not have been. I'm not saying that they should have won or lost, but they certainly should have put forth a better offensive performance. But I'm with you, Paul. I put most of the blame on Sarkisian more so than I put it on Arch Manning. He wasn't impressive. Again, he was not impressive, and he's got to show up, and I don't want to hear another word about him as a Heisman Trophy candidate, a Heisman finalist, and all of this. Nah, I don't want to hear that now. You got to go out there and show when you're the man every single Saturday that you can step up and handle your business. That's what he has to do, and I believe he will do it. But when it comes to Sarkisian, you've been around too long. And to go out there and call such a pedestrian game, I really, really was so unimpressed with what I had big expectations for Sarkisian. What we know him to be as a coach, as an offensive play caller, as an offensive coordinator, I think he came up flagrantly short. Almost to the point where he was compromised because he was too busy in trying to protect Arch Manning as opposed to coaching him. And I think that that's the indictment to make on this particular morning. You can make a legitimate argument that Steve Sarkisian got just as caught up in all the hype and hoopla and everything surrounding Arch Manning as Arch Manning supposedly did. That's really what this looked like. He looked like a coach that was too preoccupied with protecting a quarterback instead of coaching a quarterback. And that's why I think that that played a role, obviously, in Ohio and Texas's offense looking so anemic. But we also got to give credit to Matt Patricia, the former defensive coordinator in New England, who's now at Ohio State. There's levels to this, and he showed on the collegiate level, excuse me, son, if you planning on going to this next level, let me give you some evidence of what it's going to look like for you. And Arch Manning had a difficult time in dealing with it.
I think we're overreacting just a tad bit. Yeah, would you have wanted Arch to go out there with the swagger, Paul? Absolutely. Did he? I mean, when you're having a type of game, when it's low scoring as it is, it's hard for anybody to too much have swagger unless you're on the defensive side of the ball. There's a famous quote by the great Bill Belichick. Win the game how the game needs to be won. Each game is different. And when you're asking Steve Sarkisian, which you may question his play calling and his play efforts, but he really tried to put the ball in his guys' hands to go win the football game. And this game really didn't come down to the point and blame game, more so than guys just saying, hey, we did not succeed in our quote-unquote gotta-have-it situations. Gotta-have-it situations, what you may ask, third down conversions, 35%, around 35%, fourth down conversions, just 1 of 5. That's not good enough. That's not going to be anybody, especially not in a hostile environment versus a very good Ohio State defense. So when you're looking at this game in its totality, you have to ask yourself, who's to blame? Well, the blame goes down to the whole team of Texas because we didn't win the gotta-have-it situations. And when the game was on the line, those opportunities cannot be missed more than they are. Or more than they aren't missed. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You see, here's the problem with Cam. I'm going to go to Paul in a second, but here's the problem with Cam Newton right here. See, the problem with Cam Newton. I want America to understand what the problem with Cam Newton is right now, okay? Because you see, you know, he gets a little bit, you know, he's a nice guy. See, people don't realize that. He's a nice guy, and that's what's coming across here, okay? You turn over the ball on downs on 4 separate occasions. 2 times you in the red zone, you come away with 0 points, and you're going to say, we're overreacting a little bit? What we supposed to think? What we supposed to feel? You going up against Ohio State, you on the road, you know every possession counts. You in the red zone, a tush push. You the Eagles now? You the Eagles. A tush push was Arch Manning. That's what Texas tried on one of those possessions. It didn't work, okay? Now, we ain't going for that. You're in the red zone twice. You come up with no points. 4 drives, turned over 1 downs. You can't sit up there and accuse me and Paul Finebaum of overreacting when we saw that. Come on now.
No, I'm not saying that. But when you're saying you're going to put the ball in the best guy's hands on your team, and each time it was in Arch Manning's hands. That's all you have to say. That's all you can analyze.
It's not
Get the
Cam.
performance. I understand.
You're walking around
that,
240,
but the ball was in his
250,
hands.
Paul, make it make sense for me.
Well,
listen,
hey, Cam, I tried to have a little détente with you after our pass, and it's pretty brutal. But you're wrong. Stephen A. is 100% right here. I don't understand why you're being so low-key about this. I mean, this is only the biggest game in college football in years at the beginning of the season, and everything Texas did, they got wrong. Why wasn't Arch Manning prepared for some of the looks that he was going to get? Can you answer me that?
Yes, I can answer you that. It's the week 1 frustrations. Right? Can they bounce back from this? Absolutely. Now, what did Arch Manning identify is this is not Louisiana Monroe, and this definitely ain't UTSA. Right? Those are the only 2 starts that he had prior to Ohio State. When you go into a hostile environment coached by a really good coach, Matt Patricia, those are the things that you have to consider. So when I'm analyzing Arch Manning, yeah, of course everybody wants to say, yes, the play calling was this or the play calling was that. It's week 1, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not overreact. And now you have to give it time to realize, hey, does Arch Manning have to be better? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm saying every single time on 4th down. Yes, sir.
Cam.
He's not. He's not
me,
that
bro.
yet.
Listen to me.
He's not that yet.
I know that. I'm not talking. No, I'm not getting on you for Arch Manning. I'm getting on you for Steve Sarkisian. That's where I'm going. The brother been in the listen, I like the man's a damn good coach. I'm happy he's at Texas. I like him genuinely as a person. I'm just talking about this one game. Yo, you were in the college football playoffs the last 2 years. You came up short. You had some issues back then when people were looking at some of your play calling. But the one thing we never said about you is that you lacked aggression, that you seemed passive and relatively pedestrian. That's what we're saying. And then you go up against Ohio State. You knew that was your opener. You knew what the confines were. You knew they were the reigning, defending national champions. You knew what was coming, and they got their own cat in saying that's got something to say about the outcome as well. And you show up and you don't get, and you're not ready. And Cam Newton is sitting here talking about now we overreacting with Arch Manning. Fine, but you can't say that with Steve Sarkisian. The man's been around. This ain't his first rodeo. Now we expected more from him.
I understand.
Final word here.
I understand that, but you can't say he wasn't aggressive. He went for it 5 times on 4th down. He just didn't convert.
I can't look at the play calling.
I understand the frustration. I understand the. Of course you can, but every single time that you had a gotta-have-it situation or on 4th down, the ball was in Arch Manning's hands to make the play, and it just didn't get made.